With every single day that passes, we are hearing more bad news for Bioware regarding Dragon Age the Veilguard. It does not seem like this game sold the way they expected. It's not holding player counts, and on social media, basically everybody is roasting this title, except for the shill journos and their followers. And now we're hearing at a retail chain, it's being reported that 14% of those orders were canceled ahead of the game's release, and the total pre-orders were less than 200,000. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, obviously, I think we expected Dragon Age the Veilguard to do relatively well. It's EA and Bioware, very notable names within the industry. Dragon Age is an established franchise. People have been waiting at the point in time that it released 9 years for this title to finally come out, but it's been a major disaster. Everybody's been pointing and laughing at the identity politics they shoved into this title, the really bad writing, and just the all-around mediocre experience, but now we're hearing this major report. It says approximately 14% of physical pre-orders for Veilguard at a national retailer were reportedly canceled in the days leading up to the game's release. Now, Endymion is the one revealing this, that a retail insider shared with him that 956 pre-orders of a total of 6,793 were canceled, that ends up being 14%. Now, obviously, this is just a rumor, right? Take it with a grain of salt. We do not have any solid evidence that points to this, but Endymion has released a lot of information in the past that's turned out to be true, and it seems that he does typically, vet his insiders, his leakers, and it seems that, this is a legitimate number, and this number is abysmal for Bioware. Obviously, when it comes to titles, people are going to pre-order them, they're going to cancel their pre-orders. That happens with every single game, even the most successful ones, but seeing this high of a percentage is pretty mind-boggling. He wrote on X, so a source who works in the retail space showed me how many pre-orders got canceled for Dragon Age the Veilguard in the past few days. This is from a major store with over 900 locations in America. Veilguard pre-orders versus cancellations by platforms: 1 deluxe Xbox version, 695 pre-orders, 108 canceled. Normal Xbox, 885 pre-orders, 128 canceled. Deluxe PS5 version, 1,872 pre-orders, 254 canceled. Normal PS5 version, 3,341 pre-orders, 466 canceled. And obviously, when it comes to physical media, right, we see a major divide in digital versus physical. 80% of games sold now are sold digitally, but there is still a dedicated group of gamers who try to buy physical whenever they can because they want to try to delay the inevitable. Of course, I have not enjoyed Veilguard very much. I've been streaming a playthrough on the channel, but I still went out of my way to make sure that I got a physical copy because at the end of the day, I am someone who would much rather be able to buy a physical item rather than just having an all-digital library. And I completely understand that these numbers, 6,793 may not seem like a lot, but we do not even know the digital pre-orders that were canceled, and we're never gonna know that unless, of course, they put it in an investor's call, which they wouldn't do. But one would assume if the physical pre-orders are getting canceled like crazy, that the digital ones most likely did also. And we know that this game did not do, crazy numbers, right? Just 3 days ago, it hit its all-time peak on Steam at 89,418 players. And obviously, nearly 90K is still a lot of gamers, don't get me wrong. But on the flip side, you would expect this to be higher. We're talking about 9 years worth of development. People have been waiting for so long for this title to release, but I do genuinely think that this is the effect that gamers have had on the industry, speaking with their wallets, right? There's a lot of people out there who were excited, and over the past just couple of months alone with seeing new footage and all the leaks, decided against purchasing it and deciding to stand against Bioware, which I am in complete agreement with. If that's what you decide to do, and that's what you feel is the best decision for you, 100% go for it. I did buy it so that I could live stream it on the channel and you guys could watch it that way, maybe instead of spending your money. It's just not worth $70. Never mind the higher end editions. Oh my God, I would regret that decision so much if I had bought like a $100 edition of this game. It's truly, truly abysmal. 90K is nothing really compared to some of the other larger releases just over the past couple of years. I mean, look at Hogwarts Legacy, for example. Yes, the Wizarding World has a massive fan base, but that was a brand new, video game series, because there's been other Harry Potter video games in the past, but this marked a new start, and that has 850,000 players on Steam for its all-time peak. You have games like Black Myth Wukong that were made by an indie team, their first video game release, and it hit 2.5 million players, all-time peak. You just would expect things to be going a little bit better for BioWare in Dragon Age. We were talking about some big names here, but it has not been positive for them. And we're also hearing that they are reportedly shifting their focus away from this game in totality because it will not have any DLC or expansions as they move their focus to Mass Effect 5. And it just seems that they did not know how to handle the backlash. But this is what is going to happen with every single game that puts identity politics first, that wants to push a narrative over being escapism, right? I want my games to be fun. I want them to be able to give me a whole new experience. I want to be in this fantasy medieval world with dragons and magic, and it's so cool. But Dragon Age the Veilguard took you out of that experience because of the modern day messaging that is in this. I mean, they use terms like transgender, non-binary, you pick your pronouns. It is cringe-worthy to the max, and this is not going to just happen with one or two games. This is going to continue to happen for years and years until developers decide to put identity politics to the side and make genuinely amazing experiences first. And honestly, I wish that this wasn't happening. I wish that they'd make DLC and expansions for the Veilguard, because now this means that a lot of the activists who are working on Veilguard are going to be shifted to Mass Effect 5, meaning it's going to be just as woke. We're going to have just as many activists working on it. And sure, my expectations were already extremely low after a game like Andromeda, but I wish that they just make DLC and expansions for Veilguard so we could keep these individuals in one game, right? They would be busy with Veilguard, so they couldn't mess up Mass Effect 5, but it seems that that's not going to happen, and I'm sure a high percentage of these activist devs are going to go to Mass Effect 5, and they're probably going to butcher that too, and it's just so sad to see this happening time and time again. So yeah, I mean, right now we are hearing that this game is not turning out to be a positive situation. We're hearing that 14% of the physical retail orders were reportedly canceled ahead of the game's release, and this is not going to be an isolated situation. It's going to happen time and time again until developers decide to make amazing content and to focus on making really fun games, amazing storytelling, great combat mechanics instead of virtue signaling. So I'll be keeping my eye on this to see if anybody makes a statement, if any of the developers melt down because of the failure, because of the backlash. But for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.